For those new to the channel, we take a data-driven approach to fantasy football. To stay up to date, like this video, click subscribe and the bell notification. In this episode, we are analysing players for potential round 3 correctional trades. And what we're looking for are any cash cows that we've missed. So before we jump in, remember that fantasy football is a marathon, not a sprint. And therefore, we should only take correctional trades for a great cash cow. My definition of a great cash cow is someone that's going to earn upwards of $150,000. So let's select player name and analyse their performance of last year versus this year. And we want to analyse that by points per match. Let's grab that. And let's also have a look by salary bands. And again, cash cows are those players that are going to move $150,000. So let's switch this over to a chart, and let's also switch this over a scatter chart, just so we can get a better idea. And I just want to colour this by salary bands. So as I said, we're looking for those cash cows. So anyone in the high salary brackets, their movement of last year, which is on the x-axis, versus this year, that to me is indicating these are the players we should be considering as keepers. So these are the players that potentially could move into our top 6. So we're not going to have a look at that today. As I said, we're going to focus on the bottom end, those cash cows. So who are those players that we may have missed that we want to bring in? So let's restrict this search down and just select the lower salary banding, so we can focus in on this area. So across the x-axis, this is their performance per match last year, and our y-axis is this year. And immediately we have 3 players that are standing out here. So we can see Taylor Walker, points per match is 144. We also see Jarman Impey, who's moved from 40 points last year to 94 points this year. And the third player is Chad Warner, whose points per match last year was very low, 34, and he's currently 82. So let's take a deeper look at these 3 players. So I want to restrict that down. So let's just select Taylor Walker, Jarman Impey, and we can just do this by typing into the search, and Chad Warner. And I just want to switch over to the tabular view so we can start having a look at some of their particulars. So we can see, where their salary bands are. If we wanted to have a look at what their current salary is, we can just type that in. So we want to identify cash cows that can earn us 150k. And in order for this to occur, we need their points per match average to rise by about 35. So I just want to add in a formula, which is just the targets of points per match. And what we can see here, that from their starting points last year, which is what their price is derived from, of 55. So we need Taylor Walker to hit and maintain just under 91. Chad Warner a 68 and Jarman Impey a 75. So currently, Taylor Walker is at 144. So the question is, will he be able to maintain this average around 91 to make it worthwhile to make this trade? So what I want to do is let's analyse Taylor Walker's historical performance. So what we want to understand is if these players will be able to maintain their current points per match above this, this target points per match line. So the 2 of interest to me are Taylor Walker and Jarman Impey, in that Chad Warner at his price of 144 is really a lock in the team. And if you haven't got him, I'd strongly suggest making that trade this week. So that's one trade, and that leaves Taylor Walker or Jarman Impey. So we need Taylor Walker to be above 91 and Jarman Impey to be around 75. So let's have a look at that. And so we can clear this search. And what we want to have a look at is Taylor Walker. For the last 3 years, this year, we want to break that down by the year and the round performance and look at his points per match. And let's view that as a chart. And as we said, we want Taylor Walker to be greater than that 91 mark. So let's just grab just 90, highlight as red, and let's break that into the year as well. So what we can see here is a year and round breakdown of Taylor Walker's performance, we're highlighting where his points per match is greater than that 91. And if we just fit this to screen, this is where we can start getting an idea of his last 3 years of performance. That yes, the last 2 rounds have been, a dramatic increase. And we can see that's well above this 91. But over this last 3 period, Taylor Walker has only polled 6 times prior to this year above 91. And that to me is a massive risk to guarantee that Taylor Walker will move 150k. And if we look at his entire career, we can see that in order to get that 91 average, Taylor Walker is really going to be rolling back to the clock to, the period between, 2014 and 2017, where he was the dominant forward in the competition. Now let's take a look at Jarman Impey. So let's just remove Taylor Walker from the search and let's change Jarman Impey. And we also want to change the conditional formatting. So let's change the conditional formatting just to highlight those matches that are above that 74 mark for Jarman Impey. So firstly, let's just restrict this down to the last 3 years, including this year. And we can see that Jarman Impey, historically, around this, this points per match average line of around this 74, can conceivably maintain this average. So we can see here towards the end of 2019, Jarman Impey was very, very strong in averaging, around that 74 mark. So last year, obviously, he had a lot of injuries, and when he came back, the match averages were quite low. And we do have to have a look at, is Jarman Impey now returning to his 2019 form? So I think of those 2 players, if there is a correctional trade that you're going to make of Taylor Walker versus Jarman Impey, in my mind, Jarman Impey, according to the data, Jarman Impey does look like, of the 2 players, more likely player to get you that 150k. So that's it for this week's episode. Please leave your feedback and questions in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe.